What is going on? Serial Overdrive here, and today, playing some Entropia Universe. What we're going to be doing today is we are going to be talking about one of the craziest MMORPGs out there. Entropia Universe, a real cash economy MMORPG that a lot of you probably haven't heard about until this video or somewhere around the time you're looking up this video, because this is a 2024 Entropia Universe Beginner's Guide. And we're going to start by going over how this game works, how you can make money, how you lose money, why you should be interested in the game. We're going to ignore the dude off to the right, and we're just going to jump right into it. So, first things first, Entropia Universe is a real cash economy game. What that means is something like this shirt that I'm wearing costs real money. So when you look at an item, you can see its TT value. If you go to view information, you just go ahead and right click. You can see TT value. That's how much it's worth if you take it to a trade terminal. And then you've also got a market value if you click down here. And this would be how much this item's worth on the auction or in the auction house. We're going to get into the auction later, but first let's talk about the trade terminal. So trade terminal is where you come to buy, sell, and recycle everything in the game. You shouldn't be selling and recycling as you get more and more advanced into the game, but that's something that you're just going to have to learn as you go. For buying, you get a few different categories you can buy from. Also, you can recycle, which gives you nano cubes. Those are great for crafting, and you can also sell them on the auction, but it is a bit of a trap, and we're going to get into that later. Also, before we dive too deep into this guide, if you like this guide, or if you like me and you want to support the channel, I've got an affiliate link down below. I've been working with MindDoc. I'm trying to get them to actually give something for people who use this affiliate link, but so far, all you're going to be doing is giving me a bit of a kickback instead of giving it to MindDark. I get a little bit of what you spend in the game, but I'm not going to kid you and tell you that this game is going to make you a ton of money or anything like that. In fact, this is like any other MMORPG or video game in general. The company making it has to make money, which means you have to be spending something. In most games, it's an online subscription or a cost for the game or something like that. In Entropia Universe, you pay when you play. So if this is a game that you plan to play for a couple hours every month, it's a great value. You can spend $5 a month and get hours of entertainment. Whereas with an MMORPG, you might be spending $15 on a subscription, only playing for a couple of hours. If, however, you want to go hardcore, grind this game out, and make it to be one of the best players ever, don't expect to do it without wasting or spending, depending on how you view it, thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. And yes, people have actually done that. So now, let's get into how you're going to start this game and how you're going to avoid spending too much money. First things first, there's a few different options here. You can go into mining, crafting, or hunting. Crafting costs a lot of money, but as you get better and better, you can craft things that are worth money to players. This is in the form of markup. So, for instance, let's say you're pretty good at crafting a gun like this, an LR30. You craft this gun, and you're going to be able to craft something that's worth 65 PEDs, or $6.50 in USD. 10 PEDs equals 1 USD, by the way. And this has been for as long as I've played the game, and I've played the game for well over a decade now. So, if you craft a 65 PED item, you can get a nice markup of 114%, which means basically if you craft this item and you lose 1 PED, you're going to be able to pick it up in markup. So what you want to do is you want to find items that you can craft for very low markup because you've got to buy resources to craft those items and then sell the items for very high markup. This generally happens when you've got a blueprint that is very rare, you're really good and can craft better than anybody else, or you lie to everybody, tell them you're really good, lose a lot of money, but try to make people think that you're not. And all three of those are happening in the game right now as we speak. But we're not going to talk about crafting because honestly, it's quite the money sink. And when you get into Entropia Universe, you want to do mining or hunting, in my opinion. Mining, what you're going to do is you're going to go here, you're going to buy a detectinator. This is going to be dropping something called probes. You're going to want to buy an excavator. This is what you're going to use to mine up whatever those probes find. And then you're also going to need probes. We're going to go over how all of this works. Also, we'll go over how the refiner works. So let's go ahead and buy this item. It only costs 10 PEC. So this is an extremely cheap item. Let's go ahead and buy this item, which costs 3 PED. And let's go ahead and buy 100 probes. So if you're doing the math here, we spent about 850 in PED or 85 cents in USD. You can buy the refiner too if you want to refine the resources, but you really only need to do that if you're planning on crafting or selling them on the auction house. We'll go into all that, don't worry. Now comes weapons. You got a few different options here. You've got a knife, you got a blade, you got fists, you've got a pistol, and you've got a handy rifle. Generally, these are a little bit harder to do because that's what happens when basically what happens is if you've got a melee weapon, a sword, a fist, an axe or any sort of crazy thing. There's a ton of crazy items in this game because it's been around for so long. But if you get any sort of melee weapon, the problem you're going to run into is you got to take damage to give damage. And that can be tough because that's going to be hard on your armor. And there's a decay cost anytime you take damage. Decay would be an item wearing down. So if you buy this sword for 15 PEDs, every time you hit with it, it's going to lose some value. You can go and repair it unless it's L, which this one is, you can see right here, which means you can't repair it, but you can just rebuy it from the trade terminal, so it doesn't really matter. But you can go ahead and repair these items, or you can just buy new ones. But the one problem you're going to find here is you're taking damage to your armor, which means you have to keep repairing that, and your costs are going to be higher than if you used a pistol or a rifle. Now, the reason I recommend this rifle is because you can shoot mobs at a farther distance. If you want to see just what that distance is, go to view information, go to details, and then you can go down here and you can see just how far this rifle can shoot. So in this case, it's 39.6. That's the range that it has. If you check out this gun right here, which is a little bit more advanced, this is sort of a mid-level gun. You can see the distance here is 85.8. So this distance is higher than the rifle. So as you get better and better, you can shoot from farther away, which means you can do more damage before you start taking damage, which means your decay costs are lower, at least as far as armor goes. And if you haven't figured this out, by the way, Entropia Universe is all about min-maxing, efficiency, and all sorts of stuff like that. Now, when you look at a rifle, when you look at a new weapon, there's a few things you want to look at. You want to look at the recommended level. So right here, you can see this level's 0 for damage and hit, which means that I am pretty good to go here. I've got a level 35 and 37, which are noob levels, I know, but I've been playing the game for a while and I'm a free to play player, or at least I sort of am because now I'm getting this affiliate link stuff, but I'm sort of a free to play player, so I think it's pretty good. I also own the land area. If you know what that means, you know that's impressive. Now, when you go to skill increase bonus, this is when you get a nice little boost in the skills that you're using. You can see the learning period is from levels 0 to 3. So if you're in that level 0 to 3 field, then you're good to go. You want to get that weapon. Also, you should pay attention to damage and a bunch of other stuff like this. So what you want is you want to get as close to maxed out on these stats as possible while still having that learning period. Don't really worry too much about that, but basically just make sure your damage, your range, your hit ability, and your critical hit ability are very close to 10. If you go and you've got an item that's just not even near it, don't use that item. Try to get as close to 10 as possible. If you're new, you're just going to want to go with this gun. So let's go ahead and buy this gun. I've already got some ammo, 82 PEDs worth. But let's go ahead and buy some ammo too, just so you guys can see how far even one PED's worth is going to go. So right now, if you're doing the math, we spent less than $1.50 USD. Also, we're going to go to the storage facility right here. This is where you keep all your items. And drop these off, just so I don't use this. We'll go into how I got those later and why that's important. Also, if you're looking to auction stuff off, this is the auctioneer. Auctioning can be extremely complicated, and there's multiple planets that you can go to, and they all have separate auction houses. My recommendation would be spawn on Calypso. The reason for this is because Calypso has the most players, it has the most active auction, and as a new player, it's the easiest place to go. So now, let's drop this rocket launcher that I've got. Let's equip the Apollo, and let's go hunting. Your results are going to vary, by the way. So what you're going to see me doing is a little bit harder than, well, it's going to be harder for you to replicate because you're a lower skilled player. That's how skills generally work. If you go and you look at your professions and all that, you can see your skills, you can see how close you are to ranking up, everything like that. To get professions, you simply hit P. And to get skills, you hit K. Now, let's start shooting at these mobs. These are puny mobs, they're pretty easy to shoot. You can just sort of sit back, shoot them, relax, have a beer, have a drink, watch your favorite show, or just go on Twitch and stream. So what I'm doing here is I'm just targeting the mobs and I'm shooting them. There's auto shooting and all sorts of hotkeys you can play around with. I've got videos on that. If you want to just use your mouse for now, that's fine. You just click on the thing and it's going to shoot, and you're good to go there. Pretty easy. And you can see here, like, we're going through these things fine. Like, we don't have a ton of ammo. You can see right down here in the bottom right-hand corner, right where my mouse is, that's how many shots you've got. You got 46 shots. Also note, to get the loot, you've got to run up to the animal and click it to loot. So you can see right there, we're looting. And you can see I've got my loot up here in the upper left-hand corner. So bing, bang, boom. We're getting some loot. We're doing pretty good here. We're going to go into just what the returns are as we go, but you can see here, I'm basically just shooting things and making it work. Everything is a level right now. If you stay in this area, everything you shoot is pretty easy to kill. Don't worry about armor or anything like that. There's a lot of players who they get into the game, the first thing they do is buy a set of armor or anything like that. Don't do that. Hunt naked, fully naked. I mean, your avatar, not you in real life, depending on whether you're in a library or sharing a dorm with someone or on your own. Playing this game naked can be a little weird. I tried doing it on a bus. Nobody appreciated that. So, anyways, we got a few kills in, and if you look, just if you're curious, we got 64 PECs of ammo left. Remember, we spent originally 1 PED, so basically 10 cents has lasted me a decent amount of time, I'd say. If you look at the loot here, we've got about 20 PECs of loot. So we lost a little bit of money, but it's not a big deal. Also, with shrapnel, what you can do is you can convert it to ammo. So you just right click, convert to ammo, and right here you get a little bit of a 1% bump, basically. You're saving a little bit of money. The conversion's a little bit easier. You always want to convert to ammo, and then you can use it in any gun or anything. So for instance, I've got this rocket launcher right here. Oops, and I can't use it. Wow, Syria. I guess you need rocket launchers are the one exception. They used to not be. But let's pull out a pistol here. The pistol you can see does use universal ammo. Even though traditionally it uses BLP ammo, universal ammo works anywhere. Let's go ahead and kill this thing here. So you can see this mob's a little bit harder to kill because I'm using a different gun, but also because it's a slightly harder mob to kill. Mobs are animals in Entropia Universe, and the farther you get from Camp Icarus, the harder it's going to get. Now, once you get far out in the map, it's not that rule doesn't hold true. But if you stay in this area, it's pretty easy. As you go out here, it gets a little bit harder, and once you get out here, just you've really got to know your TPs, your teleporter points. Those would be these things on the map. You've got to discover all the teleporter points. If there's a few interesting ones that you want to get, first off, Treasure Island City. I think you start with one of these, but Treasure Island is pretty cool in my opinion. Twin Peaks is a really good one. So that's right here on the map. You can see this if you're looking for the chords. Longitude 77,681, latitude 76,658. Also, you've got Port Atlantis. I'm not even sure if people spawn with this. It's been a while. It's been well over a decade since I created this character, but Port Atlantis is right over here. This is a nice city to get in my opinion. Also, if you're looking for teleporter points or anything like that, there's plenty of friendly players who will take you around. And don't worry, if they drop you off in some area and you die, it's not really a big deal because you just respawn. There's no real penalty for death. So now let's jump to mining because this guy's running a little bit long. I want to keep things short, sweet, and to the point. So I hit I go over here to the tools. That's where I find mining. Where you find your weapons going to be over here in the weapons section. You equip your finder right here. And here you can select what you're looking for. So I'm going to look for mineral ore and energy matter. Treasure you can only find on a different planet called Arcadia. Now when you want to drop a probe, all you've got to do is hit your activity key. So in my case, that would be E. So you go ahead and hit that key and probe drops. And there we go. Right there, we just found something. It'd be a Listerium stone. So now how do we get this stone? What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to your excavator. That'd be this thing. It's also in your tools section. Pull that out, walk up to the claim, and then you hit F or right click to excavate the resource that you just found. And just like that, we got 25 PECs of a resource, which if you go and look at the tools right here, you can see we spent 15 PECs to mine. So right now we're up 10 PECs. That's not going to last for long though, because if we keep mining, we're going to keep losing money. And the way skills and everything like that works in Entropia Universe, the more money you spend, or the more money you spend per action generally, the more skills you're going to get. This doesn't quite hold true. There's a lot of exceptions to this, learning period bonuses and everything like this. But right now, you're going to be dropping a very low amount of probes. If you go over and you use a more advanced finder, like this one that I've got, the F105, you're going to see this one's going to drop 30 probes. So the one that you get from the TT or the trade terminal, that is going to be using less probes. And that's to make the game a little bit cheaper. When you advance, you're going to use something that uses a little bit more probes. Generally, when you're mining, you're going to be spending 1.5 PEDs to look for end matter and for ores. In return, though, your claims are going to be bigger. You can also put amps and all sorts of crazy stuff on, but that is not really for a beginner's guide. If you got questions, though, feel free to ask. Also, Discord link down below, I think, maybe, possibly, if you look at my old videos, you can find a link there. So we're just going to keep going. We're going to mine it a little bit here just so you can get the hang of it. But basically, you just run around, you're hitting that activity key. Again, for me, that's E. You drop your probes and you see if you find anything. If you don't find anything, you try again. Also, you want to give a little bit of distance between each claim. If you just drop them right in the same area, you're not going to find anything. Certain areas have certain ores and end matters, and they're at certain distances. So if you really want to get advanced about it, you can start running some numbers and trying to figure out sort of what area works best for you. And it's going to vary because it really depends on the distance that you're surveying. And again, we're going to go to the information on these surveyors and see how deep they can go. And it depends on the resource that you're targeting. So sometimes you can find a resource with a high amount of markup in an area. And if nobody knows about it and the market's right, you can just mine that area and make a tidy profit. I used to do this when I was playing more actively. There were certain areas I found that just dropped resources that had a high markup, and you can pretty much go to these areas and almost guarantee yourself a break-even mining run. So you're just running around hoping for a big hit. And when you get those big hits, that is amazing because that means then you're in the profit. So let's go ahead and equip that extractor. Let's go over to the iron and let's go ahead and mine it. So just like that, we got our iron stone. And I forgot to show you the claim, so we're going to keep going a little bit longer mining here to see if we can't find a claim that we can pull up just so you can see all the details. Also, while we're running around dropping probes, let me go ahead and show you the information for this finder. So if you look at the details here, what you're going to see is you can also see again that same thing that we were talking about before, the learning period. This would be 0 to 0.5 levels, so you get over that pretty quickly. You can see the recommended level and you can see all your stats. So the average search depth is 104.5 and the range here is 54 meters. If you look here at this finder that I've got here, you're going to see the range is about the same, 55 meters. So it's a little bit better, but not by much. But the average search depth is 522 meters, which means when I use this finder, I can find a whole different range of things than when I use this finder. And some areas are better with certain finders than others, and you really just got to play the game, figure out the area, and know what you're getting into. Also, you can see this radar up in the upper right-hand corner. That's going to have red dots that represents enemies. So if you're mining, you're going to try and run in between them. And if you're hunting, you're going to go for them, assuming they're not way outside of your level. So, yeah, as far as Entropia Universe goes, there is a ton of things to do in this game. You don't have to be a miner, a crafter, or a hunter. You can do so many different things. In fact, my main skill would be trading. That's how I got into this game, and that's how I've been playing this game ever since. I buy things low, I sell them high. Some players hate, oh, here we go, here we go. So we just found a resource. Sorry, I'm gonna break the spiel right here, and we're gonna check out this resource. If you want to see a resource, you can go here, Money and Deeds. Go to your energy matter resource or your ore resource. You can view the information. Here you can see everything on it. So if you go to details, basics, sorry, you should be able to see right here the depth. So it'd be 150, oh, sorry, the depth right here. So it'd be 5 meters. So this is very high. This is very close to the surface. This is something that you're probably going to find more likely with a lower level mining, tool. So let's go ahead and mine it. So what this means is if you come back with a different mining device, you might find things different depths. So in this case, we just found a resource here using this low-level extractor. If I wanted to use, or this low-level detectinator, if we wanted to use something like this, it would be okay because this is going to mine a lot deeper and it's more likely to find a different set of resources. It might find nothing, but that's just how it goes. The way people think it works is generally the closer you are to that depth of the resource, the more likely you are to find it with your finder. So if your finder's depth is 500 meters and the resource is at 500 meters, it's like 100% chance of finding it. If the resource is at 1 meter, your resource or your finder's depth is at 500 meters. Maybe you've only got a 10% chance of finding it. If you use a finder that has a average depth of 100 meters, maybe you have a 50% chance of finding it. No one really knows what the percent chances are, and if you can figure it out, that's how you make your money in Entropia Universe. And yes, there are players who do that. I'm not one of those players, so I can't really give you advice there. So now, let's get into the whole spiel. What is Entropia Universe? It is pretty much a simulation of the real world. You can do so many different things. Hunting, mining, and crafting, that's how we all got into the game. But let's say you want to be a free to play player. You want to try and be like me. It's a lot harder now, but you could equip this thing right here. You can go up to the mobs and you can sweat them. And that would just be pulling sweat from the mob. And if you can do that, then you can sell that sweat for money. You can be a free to play player. You can be a sweater. You can be someone who just stands out there all day trying to get resources from a mob. You can see right here, we're sweating. So the way sweating works, if you're interested, you have to charge yourself up. And then once you've gotten your charge up, you're going to have to go ahead and extract the sweat. So that's what's going on here. And yeah, you could lose concentration. That sucks because then you just have to try again. It takes a long time. A lot of people say this is something that you should do if you want to be a free to play player, but honestly, it's a very tedious process and you're not going to get much money for it, so I would not recommend it. But outside of sweating, you can do a ton of other things. You can become a space pirate. You can become a pilot. You can become a land area owner, getting mobs and dealing with high level players to get the right animals to your area. That takes a lot of time though, as I've recently bought a land area and then sold it because it took too long. But I did make a little bit of a profit because you can also be a trader. Buy low, sell high. You can go and buy ores and end matter in small bundles from miners and try and sell them in big bundles on the auction, or you could buy things off auction hoping that they go up or down in value. You can become a hairdresser, a stylist. You could go ahead and tame animals. There's a million different professions in this game, and it's up to you what you want to do. You can even become a colorer, taking clothes and turning them into more beautiful clothes. Again, the game is 100% up to you, and better yet, there's a whole new engine update coming. That's called the Unreal Engine, but that is for another day. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you hit subscribe down below, hit like, and I'll see you on the next Entropia Universe adventure. Until next time, peace.